Okay. Um, I'm feeling pretty poopy, pretty shitty, pretty negative in my headspace. And so I want to just get out of my head and just record my thoughts and just say it out loud. So I'm going to do that. Um, I feel like my mind's just kind of shitting on me. The demon talk is active. I feel like mm, there's like criticism that I'm filming too much, that I'm trying to um, create outcomes, that I'm clout chasing. And man, it always sounds way more silly when I say this shit out loud. But that's the thing, man. Like, and I keep saying man so much. I filmed a video yesterday, which is part of why I think my mind is shitting on me. I filmed this really long video that I really, really loved making. It felt more like an inspirational speech. I just did, I guess, what I usually do. Um, but I went on for like an hour or 20 minutes or something of talking very passionately. And I feel like that might be part of what has me feeling kind of shitty and frustrated. I feel like, like as I've been doing these, I've um, I've been pushing like my comfort zone and kind of diving deeper into the negative feelings, the fears, insecurities that hold me back. And so, part of what I'm doing is I, you know, I, I'm essentially like digging in for gunk. I'm like digging in my mind for gunk. It's kind of like an analogy I like to use is like you can imagine like our brain, it's like this like dungeon, this big dungeon, and it has all these rooms, and like I'm walking around with like a candle and a sword in my other hand, and I don't know what's behind all these doors. I haven't opened them in a long time. Maybe it's like, these doors are like suppressed thoughts, suppressed beliefs, like unconscious or subconscious beliefs, thoughts, experiences, negative experiences, all this shit. And, I guess what I'm essentially doing is essentially deciding to grab my candle, grab my sword, walk into this dungeon, and fucking fight some demons, slay some demons. And it's fulfilling, it's rewarding, it's great to loosen the grip of like negativity and like, you know, all the self hate or self doubt, self criticism, to really loosen that grip and go in door to door and slay some demons. But it sucks too, man. And part of the process is like, I'm essentially like intentionally waking up the demons, and like, it's kind of like drinking poison at a controlled dose. Like, I'm intentional about how I'm going about it, but it's a war, right? It's a war of being, as I like to say. And there's many battles to be fought. I don't need to win every single battle. I just need to not give up. I just need to keep getting up and keep going door to door and fighting demons, opening those dungeons, but dungeon doors. But yeah, I mean, and I guess, I feel like that might be what's at play here right now. Probably amongst other things. I didn't work out yesterday, and that was something I was intending to do. Yesterday was kind of it ended up being an amazing day, but it was a little shitty at the start for things a little out of my control. Um, and, I think I'm just generally, I think for one, like I feel frustrated, or like I'm kind of, now that I've started to work out again, I'm kind of starting to I have something again, right? I have something to lose. And I feel like, some of those dormant demons, some dormant thoughts. I say demons, not in like a religious sense, but that's just how I talk about, like, I don't know, the negativity in my head. But as I've started to work out, now I open that book up, right? There's two possibilities. When I'm never working out, I can't be sad or mad or happy or whatever. Like, I'm not working out. I'm just indifferent. It's ambiguous. But once I open that book, I open myself to that. I don't know if that's the right analogy I'm trying to use. But once I start working out, I now have something to lose. I now have the ability to lose my habit, to lose my grind, my practice of working out. And so, I think it's starting to wake some of those dormant thoughts and negative beliefs and like expectations I have of myself. Because when I used to work out in the past, I think part of what drove me was, self-doubt, self-criticism, maybe self-resentment. And, I feel like that's something I kind of observe, and it seems like that's the case in a lot of people that work out. You often hear people, a lot of times people who are working out have like insane body dysmorphia. They think they look like shit. It's kind of like a joke even that, like, I've seen comments where people are like, oh, like when I first started working out, like I hated my body. And like now, like 5 years later, like my body looks amazing, but I still hate my body. All right, no, I remember now. It's when I started working out, I hated myself. And it's like now that I've worked out for like 5-10 years, I look amazing, but I still hate myself. Or something like that, And I feel like with working out, that's a particular realm or aspect of life where, people kind of fall for this trap. And it's kind of the trap that I fell for, I think I definitely revolved my value as a person on this external thing. Like how much I was working out, like how good I looked, how much progress I was making. All this shit. And I think it's a pretty common thing. And for me, I feel like it's only been like a week or two, or like a week and a half since I started working out again. So now I've opened up that possibility. I've opened up one of those doors. I came knocking. I said, hey, I'm gonna start working out. Like, what do you have to say about that? And my demons, they start waking up. They start riling up. They're like, oh, you're not gonna be able to do it. You're gonna fail. Like, you need to improve more. Like, you're not doing enough. Like, you're not good enough. Like, you used to be better. Like, all this shit, right? And part of why I love doing these videos is like, I just felt like, wow, like I already feel much better. But it's also so helpful to just like get out of my head. And I think that's why, like, the next line of defense or the next like line of logic for my demons is like, oh, like you shouldn't be filming a video. Like, oh, you're just clout chasing. Oh, you're recording everything you do. Oh, you're just trying to go viral on YouTube. You don't actually care. No one's gonna watch this. No one cares. People are judging you. People are hating you. People are criticizing you. Blah, 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 blah. All this shit. And a lot of times when we have thoughts like these, we don't actually, I feel like or I guess I don't fucking know. I don't know what anyone's life is and what it's like in their head. But I imagine that, there's a lot of people like me who've had experiences like this. And, I feel like for myself, I've often not been aware or been able to differentiate between what is it that's like my fucking demon talk, my mind shitting on me, like the shit that I've internalized from toxic friends in the past or society or people online, haters, like whatever. What is the demon talk and what is my actual voice, right? It's a very distinct and different thing. And I think, a lot of us don't realize that, and we think that we are our thoughts, but we're not our thoughts. We can't control our thoughts. Some, our conscious thought to some extent. But a lot of times, you just get those random ass intrusive thoughts just coming through and saying some shit. And part of why I feel it's important to record these videos is like it really helps distinguish between what are the thoughts that aren't serving me, the thoughts that are self-destructive, the thoughts that are self-hating and like self-critical, self-resenting, I suppose. And what are the thoughts that I want to have? What's the inner dialogue that I want to have? And how do I want to talk to myself? My thoughts, the things that we've internalized, it's what keeps us the same. It's what keeps us as we think we're supposed to be. Whether that's, what society has told us, what our parents have told us, what our friends tell us, or just what we observe. Maybe we feel a certain way from how we see society going about, the things we see on TV, on social media, from our peers, from our colleagues, from our role models, from influencers, whatever the fuck, man. And if we're not conscious of that process, if we don't choose who we're being, that absence of choice is a choice as well. And in that absence of choice, you're going to slowly just drift and passively drift into just someone you're not choosing to be, someone that is being chosen by everyone around you. And I think it's up to us whether we want to be honest with ourselves and whether we want to acknowledge that that's what's happening or not. And I feel like for myself that's definitely been the case for me. And it's a tough battle to undertake, a war, really. It's a tough war to undertake, but it's been glorious, man. There's days like this where I feel shit, but yesterday I was on the fucking moon, man. I was so passionate about that video I made, and I'm really crossing my fingers and hoping that it all works out because my phone ran out of storage as I was filming it. So the first half of it currently is like a corrupted file or something. And this has happened in the past, and luckily, like, I don't know how it works, but like a few days after it randomly will like reappear. So I'm hoping that's what happens, crossing my fingers. I'll be pretty devastated if it doesn't, but it's out of my control now. It's up to this fucking iPhone right here, this iPhone 8s Plus from like 5 years ago. I'm counting on you to recover that file because I am really excited to post that video. No matter what happens, no matter if people fucking listen or not, like the value, intrinsic value, the subjective, meaningful, fulfilling value for myself is already there. I would love to be able to put it out into the world and for people to be able to listen if they'd like to. And I feel like I just felt really good about it. And I think that's part of why my mind shits on me. My mind thinks like, oh, like I shouldn't want to get views. I shouldn't want to go viral. I shouldn't want to gain subscribers and this and that. And, all this shit. But why not? Why shouldn't I? Like, that's the whole point. Like, otherwise, I mean, not the whole point, but that's one of the points, right? Like, I want to do this to help people. And I think, and to make an impact. And I think, like, sometimes, I don't realize, or I wouldn't realize that, like, it's not black and white. Like, there's two very different factors in there. Yes, there's some aspect of like, yeah, like if I'm gonna make an impact, people are gonna watch, my view count's gonna go up, my subscribers gonna go up, maybe I'll make money, right? And I feel like my mind tells me like, oh, like that's a shameful thing, like I shouldn't want that, I shouldn't aim for that. And I agree, like it's not that I shouldn't aim for it, it's that I don't want to aim for that. I want that to be a byproduct of the input I put out into the world, right? All I'm really doing these days is a fuck ton of talking and, just trying to figure my shit out, document it, head in the direction I want to head in, be mindful and intentional about who I choose to be, and just get rid of all the fears, all the insecurities, all the doubt, all the bullshit that's in my head and get back to being me. And yeah, I mean, that's what it's about. And it's not a matter of shit, it's because I want to. And, I decide. My mind has an idea already, but that's not my idea. That's what society tells me. That's what um, my peers may tell me, or, whatever. I feel like in the past I would be very idealistic, right? Like I would think like, oh, like, for example, like, oh, people, clout chasing is terrible. Like people are chasing views, people are trying to do like just really shitty things to other people, public nuisance pranks, like this and that. You know, I, I, and I do believe that. I do feel there's a lot of problems with the direction content creation is heading in. And, when I started out this journey, I felt like a pressure to kind of fall in line, right? Make really short, highly stimulating content, like edit, a lot of edits, like, when I was doing my vlogs, travel vlogs, and all this shit. And, I realized, I heard that voice, that feeling in myself, I felt it, and I felt that something was off about it, something wasn't right, and something didn't feel right about it. There were certain aspects that were feeling really good, and I really enjoyed certain parts of it, but there was still something there that was conflicting. I was still fighting a war, And as I raised my awareness, I realized like there are aspects I like about it and I loved about it, doing like travel vlogs. But there was a lot of things holding me back, and really that was like the catalyst for engaging in this journey. Because I started like recording, I started getting comfortable recording myself and being behind the camera, but I also realized I was very, very uncomfortable recording myself and being behind the camera in certain contexts. For example, when I'm talking a lot, when I'm just using my voice, I would think just all these negative thoughts would just come in. I would think no one's gonna watch, like people are gonna get annoyed, like they don't want to hear me speak, they just want to see the places, they want to I should focus on the people, that I'm like the connections, the food, the culture, the traditions, blah blah blah. It's not about me, right? And that's what helped me realize like I had this just something very strong. This very strong reaction is there for a reason. And I realized like there was something very inherently uncomfortable about talking, about using my voice and posting it publicly. And that's really what started me doing this, because there was one day in Malaysia where I was just so fucking tired and like just so drained, and I just could not film a vlog for the life of me. So I was like, what am I doing? Like this feels so shit. I'm just gonna fucking talk. And I ended up talking for like 50 minutes, and it felt amazing. And I'm still very curious where things will continue to go, what direction I'll head in and my channel will head in. But that's the thing. Like, I don't need to know. I'm here and now. I don't know everything. I don't need to know everything. I know what I know, and that's enough. And I know I'm heading in the right direction. I know that I'm getting closer and closer to being who I want to be, who I choose to be. And I mean, that's great. That's amazing. That's excellence. Even if it doesn't feel that way, especially not on a bad day like today, so far. I don't, as I was saying those words, I didn't feel those emotions. But, it's important to differentiate between how we feel and what we choose to respond to those feelings, how we choose to respond to those feelings. And, it's okay. Both can exist. I can feel really shitty, but still choose to believe that I'm on a great journey and I'm heading in the right direction. Sometimes we feel that because of how we feel, that's a crazy sentence. Sometimes we feel that because of how we feel, we're like doing something wrong, right? But it could mean you're doing something right, very right. Maybe you're doing something wrong in the eyes of others or in the eyes of society, or, not to say like go out and like murder someone or something like that. But, there are often, I think what's helpful is when you're doing something that doesn't affect anyone else, like how do you feel about it? Because, I mean, I'm not bothering anyone by just talking, like, I think like if you're super fucking self-critical, like in the past maybe I'd be like, oh, like no one wants to hear me, like I shouldn't like film in public, like people are trying to enjoy their days, like blah blah. But like that's the thing, man, like our mind is so selective, and like when we're overcome by just negativity and demon talk, we just believe that shit. We fucking eat that shit up. But it's fucking bullshit, man. And we often don't realize that. We think it's ourselves. And, you know, maybe we're just drifting through life. And kind of like the duck that I'm seeing right now on the river. But, yeah. There's a difference between how we feel and how we respond. And the more that you can differentiate your feelings, become aware of your feelings, and become aware of your thoughts, and differentiate your thoughts that are automatic versus the thoughts that are self-serving, that you want to have, that you are intentional about and would choose to have. You know, the more you can build that awareness, the more that you can become the person you want to be. Or maybe you have no fucking clue what you want to be, but for me, what I found out is that as I'm diving into my discomfort, I'm learning more and more about who it is that I'm afraid to be. And that's very telling as well. And that's part of what this is all about. And what that video, I think, really triggered. I think it was the first time I did something like it. So passionate and so long, such a long video. And it was in a response to like another video I saw on YouTube that was kind of picking up some traction, a small channel. But anyways, yeah, I think you know, it opened up a new dungeon, opened up a new door, a new battle in the war of being. And you know, this video in and of itself is a battle, is one of those battles. I was close to not filming it. I was close to believing my demons, thinking like, oh, like I shouldn't record, like I shouldn't this, I shouldn't that. But it doesn't make sense, man. And the thing is too, like if I actually do film something that, you know, maybe I feel regretful about, which has never happened, honestly. I'm thankful every single time that I do one of these videos and just voice out my thoughts and get out of my fucking head. But you know, like my demon's doing whatever it can to stop me from it. And you know, why that is for me to keep exploring, to keep opening those dungeon doors, slaying some demons, and figuring out the rest. But yeah, I am feeling much better. I'm also kind of tired now. I think I'm gonna call it there, end the video, and just sit with myself for a while. I'm hoping to publish that video I'm referring to, where I talk for a very long time in response to a YouTube video I watched. It's like my favorite thing I've done and said in weeks. So I'm hoping that my file gets uncorrupted and I can post it soon. But this will probably go up before that video. I'm at the hands of my iPhone recovering it. And so we'll see if that happens. But that's all for me. Thanks for watching. Peace.